Hi, and welcome to another product demonstration from the Vision Australia Vision Store. And this one today is going to be all about the Tape King talking measuring tape with spirit level. The product number for this one, or the product ID, is E for Elephant, S for Sam, 7601. So as you can see, we've got a very nice large LCD screen. We've got buttons that are also marked tactilely, and these are basically numbered from 1 to 4. So when you're reading the manual, as we all don't do, the first button on the left-hand side, the round one, is labelled with completely nothing. It's flat. The next one's marked with a dot. That's number 2. The third one along is marked with 2 dots. That's number 3. And the fourth one is actually marked with 5 dots. Now, if I just tip it up on its side here a little bit, this button here, if I press it in, that retracts the tape, okay? And this right here, if I pull it up a little bit, is actually the tape that comes out. Press the button in, it slides back in again. And just to let you know, the tape is 16.4 feet if you want old measurements, or just on 5 meters, or just over 5 meters. There's a slight variation apparently. And then if I turn it up this way, what we've got here is a little latch. If I push my finger underneath and pull it up and back towards me, that's where you've got the 2 AA batteries to use it with the talking tape measure. And then of course, if I turn it over, we've got a belt clip on the back here to attach it to your belt, pants, or anything else. And by the way, this also comes with a little carrying bag that also has a belt clip on it as well, just to keep the unit clean or from scratches, particularly if you've got it in a toolbox or anything else. I've normally got this one in my toolbox in my shed. Okie dokie, so that's basically excuse me, that's basically it for the layout of the actual talking tape measure itself. So let's get on to the real business of turning it on. So the button, the number 1 button, remember it's buttons 1 to 4. So the first button with no markers on it, I'm going to hold it in for about a second. 1 Mississippi, release.
0 feet.
Okay, and at the moment I've got it on the old measurements, the imperial. All right, so the first thing you probably want to do is make sure it's working. So what happens when I pull this out, you're going to hear an audio tone. Because it's in feet or inches at the moment, it's going to click every inch. So if I pull it out, 1, 2, 3, 4.
0.35 feet.
Okay, and remember this is in the point form. So that probably was just over 0.35 by the time I finish pulling it in, or pulling it out. Now if I press the button in,
0 feet.
Okay, now we don't want that particular nonsense here in Australia with feet and so on. So the 5 key is actually our settings button. So I'm going to press it once.
Spirit level.
Press it again.
Measurements without the case.
So the first one said spirit level, which I'm going to tick. The second one actually said measurements without the case. Now if I press the 1 or the 2 button, I can cycle either way around the particular settings for this menu option. So I'm going to press the 3rd key along with the 2 dots on it.
Measurements with the case.
Measurements with the case. Press it again.
Measurements without the case.
And measurements with the case. Now just to show you that's possible, I'm going to press number 2 with the 1 dot on it.
Measurements with the case. Measurements without the case.
Okay, so exactly the same thing. So I'm going to press the dot 5 or the 4th key again, with the button with the 5 dots on it.
Volume 10.
Volume 10. So we're going to press 3rd key along.
Volume 9, volume 8, volume 7, volume 6, volume 5, volume 4, volume 3, volume 2, volume 1.
Volume 1.
Volume 1.
And that's it. That's the lowest it goes. And then I'm going to press number 2.
Volume.
Tell my president it's getting louder.
Volume 7, volume 8, volume 9, volume 10.
And I think that's the maximum.
Volume 10.
Yep. Now I'm going to press number 4 again.
Unit of measure, imperial.
Unit of measure, imperial. We want, pressing the 3rd key.
Unit of measure, metric.
Okay, and if I press it again.
Unit of measure, imperial.
Back to imperial. If I press number 2 key, it goes cycles around the same way again.
Unit
So
of
back to
measure,
front.
metric. Unit of measure, imperial. Unit of measure, metric.
Okay, and then if I press it again,
Spirit level,
we're back to the
calibration.
spirit level, and that's the calibration mode. So if I was to actually press 2 or 3, I'd go into the setting to calibrate the spirit level. But let me just show you what's interesting with this menu. So I press it again.
History of measurements.
That's one thing we didn't have before. History of measurements
Battery level is on
and
56%.
battery level of your battery. So the first time you go through the menu, I think what it's doing, it's giving you the main options. The second time you go through it, it's got more options that you may not use at options, such as the spirit calibration, the history of measurements, and the battery level. So just keep that in mind the first time you go through it versus the second time you go through it. All right, so we should now be in metric. So if I pull the tape out again,
12 centimeters, 1 millimeter.
okay, which is perfect. All right, so I'm going to press the button in again, left hand side here.
0 millimeters.
Okay, so that's pretty straightforward operation. Now, if you want to switch between the spirit level and the tape measure, if I hold in the 4th key along with the 5 dots on it, I've now put it in spirit level mode. So if I'm tilting it, and if I press the number 1 key with no tactile markers on it,
71.3 degrees.
okay, that's the incline at the moment that I've got the actual tape measure in. I'll just press it again.
59.5 degrees.
Okay, and then if I want to put it back in tape measure mode, I'm going to hold in the 4th key again.
0 millimeters.
And I'll put it back in there. Now, I'm not going to go into this odds and ends bits, but you can also do things like you can keep adding multiple measurements in to the actual tape measure. You can get the difference between 2 measurements. You can clear the last measurement, or you can clear all the measurements in the memory. But I'm not going to do that in this initial demo because it might just get a little bit overwhelming for some people. So simply to turn it off, I'm going to hold in the number 1 button. Okay, so in reality, if you're using it, you turn it on with the number 1 button, holding it in, releasing it.
0 millimeters.
Okay, I want to take a measurement. So let's say I'm measuring a picture. I'm going to pull it out.
22 centimeters.
Okay, if I press it again.
22 centimeters.
Okay, yep, I can write that down somewhere. Pull in the, or push in the button on the left-hand side.
0
It
millimeters.
goes back in, pull it out again. I'm going to measure something else. Put my finger underneath, pull it out.
25 centimeters.
25
4
centimeters.
millimeters.
Press
25
number
centimeters.
1
4
button again.
millimeters.
Beautiful.
0
Or-
millimeters.
I turn it off. And let's say all I'm interested in is using the spirit level this time around. So I've hung the picture, so I'm going to turn it on.
0
And straight away,
millimeters.
I'm going to hold in the number 4 button. I'm now in spirit level mode, and I think, I wonder if that's straight. Let me just check the incline.
50.2 degrees.
Which, of course, if I put a picture up at that angle, I would probably get into very serious trouble off my partner. And then I'm going to put back in measurements mode again. I'm going to hold the number 5 button in.
0 millimeters.
When I mentioned number 5 button, I meant the number 4 button with the 5 dots on it. I just misnamed it, never mind. So there we go. So that's it for the Tape King talking tape measure with spirit level. It takes 2 AA batteries, which come included. I don't quite know how long the batteries actually last for, but like I said, you can check it in the second time you go through the menu to check your batteries. Just depends on how much you use the tape measure. As I said, it goes out to 16.4 feet, or just on 5, or just over 5 meters, give and take a few millimeters or inches here and there, depending on the calibration. Nice large LCD screen. You've got these buttons marked from 1 to 4. Number 1's no tactile dots. Then you've got number 2 with 1 tactile dot, number 3 with 2 tactile dots, and number 4 with 5 tactile dots on it. You've got your button here to retract the actual tape measure, the tape measure to pull it out from just
2
there,
centimeters,
and
0
of course turn it off, which I'm going to do now, holding number 1 button, and the clip at the back. You can adjust the volume, keep in mind, and that's basically it for this particular unit. So again, remember that the product ID for this one is ES, E for elephant, S for Sam, E for elephant, S for Sam, 7601. If you'd like more information on it, please contact the Vision Australia Vision Store via the main Vision Australia number, which is 1300 847 466, or you can email the Vision Store on visionstore@visionaustralia.org. And of course, you can also buy this online via the shop, which is shop.visionaustralia.org. And as I say in all my product demonstrations, thanks for your attention once again, and bye for now.